So I am Kaylee Martin.
And I am Jamie Daniels.
And we are a co-teaching, team teaching power team. And we teach Banglish that is currently grades 9 and 10. So that is, they are linear. They spend one day in English and then the next day they're in band. So all year long, they're swapping between the two. I've taken that opportunity to combine the curriculum that they're learning in English with the repertoire they're doing in music and tie them together. And as a result of that, we've seen not only enriched learning on the curricular level, but also more of a connection with the students. And part of that comes from the fact that they are together every day.
But it also created that comfort then when we were having discussions based on the curriculum where students felt comfortable sharing in front of each other because they were so used to it. We practiced it. And I had a lot less problems with kids interrupting or talking over. I would say almost zero classroom management problems in that class prior to spring break. It was just a really amazing atmosphere and just a regular group of kids. You know, I had all sorts of kids like you always do. I wouldn't say they were, top drawer, bottom drawer. They were just all the drawers. And so I don't know, it was really awesome. And I hope to continue my practice like that forever.
Cool. How did you maintain that? And once we moved online, like were you able to, the protocol you had about sharing circle prior to the class starting or as part of your day, were you able to maintain some of that community building work that you did when you moved online?
Yeah, definitely. We did it sort of more of a forum post style. I didn't do too much synchronous instruction because I found it very challenging for kids to be available all at the same time. And so they were responding in text rather than in voice, but I found the discussion still to be quite rich. Almost primarily Google Classroom.
Okay. So for those kinds of discussions, would you put your question or check-in question or something into the stream and then they just comment on it to respond?
You got it.
Kaylee, how about you? What were some key qualities that you wanted to bring out when we had to move to remote learning?
Well, I found I had a really high engagement as well. There's a few that of course had outside struggles that were out of their control so they couldn't engage 100%. But I found that the exercises that we did online, like those ones where I was posing a question and there was a discussion, were the ones that were done with the most engagement. So when I was giving like a traditional assignment saying, well, read this short story and then answer these questions, there was less engagement in those than the tell me what the best part of, everything's negative, tell me the best part of this quarantine situation, best part of lockdown. And so then they would comment on each other's comments and it'd become more of a discussion. So they were definitely more into that than doing assignments, which fair. And then I found that in English, you can check off whether they've met the expectations based on stuff like that. So I took quite a bit of their final marks from how well they participated in those discussions, because I found number one, most of them did participate. So I had material to mark off of. And then also they were showing critical thinking and all of the things that we want our English students to be thinking. Just trying to generate some empathy and compassion, which I think is probably more important than curricular competencies anyway.
It sounds like there was a bit of a shift in your thinking about what curricular competencies even were. If you started out really looking at, okay, well, here's a story and here's some questions about the story and essay assignment or whatever it happens to be. And it sounds like it kind of shifted into recognizing the kids' sort of analyzing of their own experience during this time as being a way of developing those curricular and content competencies.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't think about that.
In the very beginning, we didn't have a long time to switch to online learning. And I think that in my practice, I don't, and neither does Kaylee, I know this for sure, don't do a ton of, here's some information, answer some questions. That's so traditional. But I defaulted to that for just a little bit, just for necessity or comfort's sake, because I wasn't sure how else to do it. But as I got more comfortable, the students got more comfortable, and we were able to expand our learning a little bit and our opportunities to show our learning and things like that. So Google Classroom allowed some more instantaneous feedback, and it was kind of fun to like comment on a student's work and have them comment back, and then you kind of started a discussion right there on their work. I enjoyed that part. As far as meaningful, well, I don't know, you'd have to ask them.
Just to add to that, I found that so normally in the normal classroom setting, I let students turn something in. If they're not happy with the mark, they can fix whatever they want, turn it in as many times as they want. But I find that often students don't take that chance.
Mm-hmm.
But with the switch to online, way more of them were.
Yeah.
So I would make comments and say, this is good, but fix this, this, and this. And normally they just go, oh, I'll just take the C. But on here, they were just like, okay, and they made the changes and they resubmitted it like within the hour. Yeah.
So you found then Google Classroom was a good platform for you guys to house the learning. Is it something you used prior to pandemic times?
Kind of. We've actually discussed this.
Yeah, I more used it as like a story.
Yeah.
So like when I got tired of photocopying assignments 10 times, I would just put it in the Google Classroom. I wouldn't do a due date. I wouldn't do my marking on there. It would just be there so that the students could access it. It was basically a shared Google Drive until the pandemic. But now I find I have a system, and I think going forward, even once we get back to full class instruction, I'm still going to use that as turn it in on there so I can mark it on there so that I can do all of the things, as opposed to just like oh, you lost your handout? It's in the Google Classroom. Yeah.
And we talked about some of the things about Google Classroom that are will just work a lot better for synchronous and asynchronous learning, because this happens all the time. A kid goes away on a trip or is feeling poorly, so stays home. To have these things accessible to them. I mean, obviously this is not revolutionary. Everybody knows that we should have been doing this all along, but now that we're used to it, it'll be easier to continue it going forward.
Nice. So you guys both continued, you think, using Google Classroom in a more robust way for sure.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
Very Especially now, like you just get comfortable with something.
Yeah.
And time was always a factor. We don't have enough time to learn all of these things. So we were forced into learning it and using it and utilizing it. And now I have become more comfortable with it, and I'll be able to use it going forward.
That's